Thanks
financial
very much, Mr.
report,
Chair.
right, mate?
Yeah, the financial report for January. So the result was a operational surplus of $22 million for January, which was under budget by about $7.6 million. The main reason for that under budget was just the timing of the interim dividend from CCHL. So why did we end up in that position? So increases in revenue from rec and sports, that more people were attending things there. Growth in our rating base, higher than we had budgeted. Waste operations, particularly at Burwood, was higher. Also, the Eco Central rebate come through for the month as well. And rate penalties were higher. That's mainly because we increased the penalty rate to 10% last annual plan. Also, some savings within expenditure. So staff costs are under budget this time. Operating costs in waste, lower recycling fees, that's expected to increase throughout the year, and just a timing of grant payments throughout the year. In the capital space, as Peter's already outlined, we're expenditure of about $33.7 million. So we're under budget for the year to date of $65 million, and that's projected to be underspent by about $28 million at year end, but that'll be covered more in the capital performance report. Just moving through to page 32, just on the Treasury. There's nothing to highlight there, just saying, well, there is, that everything's in compliance. But I just thought I'd take the opportunity to, we're expecting the Reserve Bank announcement on the OCR, that's later on today. And also, after this report was written, Standard & Poor's reviewed or published their review they've done on the sector, and I can advise that Christchurch City Council, their rating, whilst a number of councils had their rating or the outlook going from stable to negative, council was among 4 entities that retained theirs. Council and CCHL retained theirs as being stable, which was positive news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. I'm happy to take any questions.
That's
Mr.
great.
Chair.
Thank you, Russell.
Yeah.
Pauline.
Just on the CCHL dividend there, and you're saying that we budgeted for it in December, we haven't received it in December. So why is that? Do you know?
Through you, Mr. Chair. The board at CCHL have taken a slightly different approach to previous, so they're reviewing the half-monthly report before they issue the dividend. So I'm sorry, I should have checked to see whether we've got it in February. We're expecting to get it in February. So yeah.
We're meeting tonight at 5 o'clock, aren't we? So yeah. So you probably have it in the next couple of days, I reckon, Russell.
Okay, right.
And that will be the way it will be in the future. Instead of December, it will be February. Is that right? They've changed the timing of it.
So do you want to talk to Audra? Yeah. Yeah. So basically, the plan is, like, with a new board coming in, the idea is that in most other businesses, you earn the money, then pay the dividend. So we're going to earn the money, then pay the dividend. So we'll announce the results at the end of, it'll be the next couple of days. The airport did theirs yesterday. Ours will be, I think, Friday. And then it's just the prudent way to do it, to avoid things like what happens during COVID.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to get at is, so do we know when to budget for it? So we budgeted for this for December, basically late. It's put us out.
Yeah.
Will we know?
Yeah. So an action, I think, Sarah, from the last meeting was that the CCHL team will talk to Russell on that about the timings to make sure it's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. But it doesn't affect what we're getting in the year.
No, but the timing is quite important. If we budget for some money and it's late, it'll affect us in some way or
Yeah.
other.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep. Okay.
Thanks.
Cool. Thank you. Kelly?
Thanks, Russell. Just a question around rates penalties. Are we seeing more delinquency? I guess is one way of describing it, than in previous years.
Through you, Mr. Chair, it's a good question. And I think it was the last report, the December report, so it's a quarterly report. We had the graph on the level of rates outstanding. So that's pretty static. It had been declining, but it's probably pretty static to where it's been last year. So the reason for this being up is twofold. One is the level of rates increased from previous year, just the quantum, but also, like I say, it was an increase in the penalty from 7%, was reduced to 7% over COVID times, and last plan was put up to 10%. So that's the main drivers for that. Yeah, not a greater number of people in arrears. Yeah.
So obviously, people who might be having financial hardship in paying their rates are then perhaps stung with penalties. Do we deal with these people? Do we talk to them, encourage them to get in contact and help them with solutions to that?
Through you, Mr.
Probably
Chair.
a wee bit outside your brief, but
No, it's not. It's quite within my wheelhouse. We are very proactive on speaking with ratepayers. We want them to speak with us so we can set them up on payment plans and schedules to make sure that they're able to meet their commitments. So that's it. We just don't, out of nowhere, bang with a penalty. That's not the way. We want to work with folk and help them meet their commitments.
Eventually, Russell goes around with that, though. Eventually.
I had a personal experience with that last week, not with my rates, but with helping a constituent. And I can't speak highly enough of the council staff on the end of the phone. You can do it on the phone. Just so helpful, and just straight onto it and put them on a monthly payment to deal with the arrears and going on the future. And a lovely, lovely person, because this person was very stressed about it. They'd got behind by 18 months. So I can't speak highly enough. It's great.
thanks, Russell. That's really encouraging to hear.
Okay.
Yanni.
Yeah, thank you. I was just interested in, apologies if I've missed this from a memo previously, but under 6.52, the review of expenditure qualifying for development contributions has been completed, and this has resulted in a higher funding drawdown this year than budgeted. I was trying to understand, has that review been complete, or is the fact that it's not complete meaning that we're doing a higher funding drawdown? And are we able to get a copy of the results of that review?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So what that sentence is outlining is we had a significant exercise going through looking at the development contributions account and the works that those funds were to be applied to, and seeing what expenditure had taken place. And so we were matching that. So that work has been done.
Right.
And so this report is saying, okay, so the capital revenues are a bit higher than we budgeted for, and that's the primary reason for that above.
Okay.
Yep.
Just because from reading that one, it kind of references to them being lower. So that's why I don't quite understand. We've got more money from development contributions because we've spent more money on the projects that we said we were going to use to fund them. Is that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's partially correct. So we collect the development contributions and they sit in an account.
Yeah.
And so we also, when we spend on growth projects, which development contributions help fund.
Right.
So we did an exercise making sure that we were drawing down the correct amount of development contributions from the account we put it in to match the expenditure. So this has been a catch-up exercise that we've done. So we drew more out, so we're not collected more. The collection process stays the same regardless of that. So what we've done is making sure that we've aligned those two items more correctly.
Yeah. And in regards to 7, in terms of the endowment fund, it says that we've got 1.7 million to allocate. So if we wanted to access some of that funding for things like, I don't know, the wastewater treatment plant fire response, what would be the process to do that? Just pass a resolution, or?
That's a
Probably a John Philsell question, isn't it?
What was the question, sorry, again?
Oh, sorry, I see in the report on page 31, we've got 1.7 million sitting in the capital endowment fund available for allocation. If we wanted to access some of that funding towards, say, for example, the wastewater treatment plant fire response, what would be the way that we could do that? Would it just be by resolution?
Yes, we could do that. You will remember that we did John did put a resolution up to the meeting last week around funding and support for the East response to the wastewater treatment, and that was overturned, but we could get him to rework on this one.
So Mary will take that away and come back to you.
Yeah, and I mean, the second question, or the third question was just around the operating surplus. Is that budget available for us to spend? I know in the past, I think council's used some of the operating surplus to fund things that we need to do. So I'm just interested in how we access that, and for two reasons. One is I also kind of am keen to know with the Port Hills fire response how we're accounting for that or planning
So
to.
I think Mary was pretty clear last week about the Port Hill fires,
Yes.
which is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought we were beginning the recovery plan work and you'll come back at the appropriate
Yes,
time.
that's right. Yes, when it's a group recovery report with Christchurch actively involved in it, and when that has been identified and worked through also with the residents, because a lot of it's private property, we will be coming back and reporting to the council. At this stage, there is no money tagged to it because we're not.
Is it fair to assume, just from this report, that if we've got an operating surplus, if we've got additional costs that are coming in that we haven't budgeted for, we're able to tag some of that operational surplus towards paying for that?
Yeah,
Because we've obviously
yeah.
cost a lot of money for the
Yeah,
Port Hills
yeah.
response today.
I don't know if you want to talk to it.
Yeah,
Russell.
I can, through you, Mr Chair. So this is saying we're projecting a surplus of about $2 million at year end. So I just highlight, that's whisper thin given the size of the organisation, almost $1 billion turnover in revenues. So saying we got $2 million at year end it's really positive, but also it's whisper thin. So it's not till we actually finish the end of the year and we'll know exactly what that is, and then there's a report that comes in. So how do we allocate those funds? So there's a mix of things that we've done previously. Most of it is used to offset debt, but if there's other calls for the funds, then they can be put there as well.
But we still don't know what not the recovery response for the fires, but the emergency response. We still don't know how much that's cost us.
No, so as Mary said, they'll come back at the appropriate time with that. Yeah, great. Okay, thank you, Yannick. So I'm happy to move that. Jake's happy to second it. Is there any discussion? All in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. Thank you, Russell, for that.
Thank you.
Andrew, do you want to come up and do your so item 9, capital